NASA is more than just rocket launches. It's also about developing specific types of technologies that will be sent into space. So it's more than just the rockets themselves. If you talk about the rocket delivery systems, that's why you have SpaceX. They're more competent at when it comes to what is supposed to be placed into space. That is the stuff that they're also working on. Look at the James Webb Space Telescope. I don't think that someone like SpaceX is going to build a James Webb Space Telescope because it requires like insights and manufacturing. Like
they needed a lot of science for that.
You have to do something that's actually factory-like and reproducible. So otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. You're not like a custom lab or anything like that. So that's what you have NASA for. It's extremely expensive to send one of those fucking things up there, and not because of the transport costs, but because of the stuff that you have to have in order to make it. Like just the manufacturing costs and the assembly costs put together, and then sending that thing up there is like the side issue. Actually, that's why these things are so fucking expensive. Because from a production perspective, it's a fucking nightmare. That's what NASA's for.
NASA's mainly there for science and research. They're pretty much a big ass R&D department with their own launch system that doesn't really work. But like, for example, the James Webb Telescope, like the mirror alone that they use to that they point towards the sun or away from the sun to reflect all the heat off of it, just one of those hexagons is like 24 karat, straight up gold plated, and it's like I think like an inch or two thick. It's nuts. I think just one of those plates costs like $40,000 or $50,000, and there's hundreds of them on there. Like SpaceX isn't going through that. Like hell no.
That's my question. It was like, do you think SpaceX can actually reduce all these costs?
That's not a reduction cost because that's not part of their wheelhouse. Is what Adrian's saying, is that like NASA does R&D, they do research and development. So for example, they do telescopes, they do probes, they do satellites, they do stuff like that, right? And they do science experiments in space. SpaceX doesn't necessarily do that. They only produce like launch vehicles, and they provide the launch system for those things to go into space. For SpaceX to expand into that, they would have to like pretty much start a whole other division. And at that, they'd be like starting NASA from the ground up. That's pretty much the best way to do it. That's why they leave the research and stuff to them, and they focus strictly on launch vehicles. If you're really good at something,
exactly like what I said. It's the problem. Like NASA are fundamentally separate. They're just designed for this. So it's
exactly.
JPL's not even as good as SpaceX at the moment. Because it's like trying to do other things that just like send rockets up there. It's like
Adrian.
The other two launch systems are not functional. Well, they are. One of them is.